Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Electricity Town Hall, a program being sponsored by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, aimed at keeping consumers of electricity abreast of happenings in the nation's power sector. This program comes your way every Monday on the network service of Radio Nigeria at 7 o'clock in the evening. NERC is the regulator for the nation's power sector, interfacing with electricity generation companies known as GenCos, the Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN), and the distribution companies (DISCOs). I am David Umori, your anchor. The Nigerian Electricity Supply Industry (NESI) is a framework for electricity generation, transmission and distribution in Nigeria. It's a critical sector that plays a vital role in Nigeria's economic development, fueling industries and improving the standard of living. However, the NESI faces ongoing challenges such as providing reliable and affordable power to a growing population. One area that has remained critical has been the distribution sector, where consumers are given electricity and in turn required to pay for services rendered. Owing to issues surrounding electricity supply, consumption and bills and electricity theft, the federal government has introduced several initiatives geared towards protecting the consumer while also providing the investor the enabling environment to get returns on their investment. And today we'll take a look at the impact of electricity theft on the Nigerian Electricity Supply Industry (NESI). What are the implications and how can electricity theft be remedied to secure the nation's power sector? These and more will be interrogated tonight on Electricity Town Hall as we look at electricity theft and security in the Nigerian Electricity Supply Industry (NESI). And I have in the studio Senior Manager, Consumer Enlightenment Unit, Consumer Affairs Division of NERC, Chinedu Ayigo. Welcome to the studio.
It's my pleasure, sir.
And also with him is an analyst in the Legal Licensing and Compliance Division of the Commission, Tarilayofa Prayo.
Thank you for having me here.
My pleasure also. So we'll just get right to it. To what extent does electricity theft impact the Nigerian electricity supply industry?
The impact, it has a ripple effect leading to inefficiency and poor service delivery, which affects the entire value chain. Electricity theft is a very serious crime. First of all, I need to establish that.
Okay.
It is a crime under the Penal Code, it is a crime under the Criminal Code, and also the Electricity Act. So if you are stealing, you will get caught one way or the other. Now, the impact, when we talk about commercial performance, it negatively impacts commercial performance. And commercial performance is very critical component of operational efficiency. So if electricity is stolen, it's very hard to know the flow of funds from customers to the relevant market players. And so don't steal because it is a serious crime. Money is being lost, revenue is being lost when you steal.
So how bad is this when you want to put it in terms of percent or figures?
Okay. You see, the issue of electricity theft, you cannot even quantify it because if you look at the data in the commission, you see what we call ATC and C losses, which part of it is the commercial, which is uncollectible revenues from customers due to electricity theft and all those things. So it is very high to the extent that if you look at the demography, you see that you have very large percentage of the customers, that engage in this act. And it is because of the impact that even the National Assembly have to, include it in the 2023 Electricity Act, just to throw light to the weight, the impact in the sector.
Okay, just to put more specifics on the impact we're talking about. Tyrell, I'll come to you on this. Can you just highlight some of the negative impacts of electricity theft in the power sector?
Like I mentioned earlier, it negatively impacts commercial performance. The flow of funds from customers to the relevant market player is very relevant because funds are required to operate in the sector. And if a DISCO is unable to account for electricity supplied, it means that there is a loss. And that loss is oftentimes significant and it could create liquidity issues. And that means that a disco is unable to get revenue to be able to meet their financial obligations, which is to pay for supply from generation companies. And also they need to make investment, right? Because they need to improve their distribution infrastructure. If there is electricity theft, it means that they cannot invest. So it hinders investment. And when there's no infrastructure upgrade, of course, it will lead to poor power supply. So the ripple effect, I cannot emphasize it enough, because now even the paying customers are now incentivized to pay because they are getting poor service delivery.
Oh, you were nodding, Mr. Chinedu. Are there things you want to add to this?
Well, the impact of electricity theft is overwhelming. Okay, so you see how customers' bills arrive at, the tariff that customers pays arrive at, is dependent on the number. It's a service. So the investors make the investment, and then they aggregate the cost and then share it. That's how they arrive at the unit per kilowatt hour. Okay, so, and of course, elementary economics say when you have large number of people using an item that are specific, the price come down. But if the number of the users, reduces, the price goes, because they have to share the cost. And so when customers steal electricity, they reduce the number of people that are supposed to partake in sharing the cost of that investment. All right? And so it now makes customers pay more than they're supposed to pay, because the number of genuine customers that are taking the service have reduced. And so it is encouraged that people don't steal. And even if you're never do, report. So because it's important, you capture more people into the net so that they share the responsibility.
Okay, so it's more like for service delivery to go smoothly, it's about load sharing, more like taking everybody taking responsibility now. So if ABC begins to steal electricity, of course, the load will come on
the few customers that are loyal and paying the bill and then pay for the service they receive.
Okay, so if you're listening, just know out there that when you do this, you're not just hurting the discos, you're also hurting your neighbor, you're hurting your friend, you're hurting your families and the larger society, I would say. Let me come to you again, Tarell. What particular steps are being taken to address the problem of electricity theft?
So first of all, we have the Electricity Act, and if you read from section 208 downwards, they have been defined as offenses, right? And there are penalties to these offenses if you commit a crime of electricity theft. And aside that, we also have an amended order on unauthorized access, bypass, and tampering, which outlines some strategies that a disco needs to put in place, such as advanced metering infrastructure. This helps to, detect suspicious patterns of consumption and all of that. So those are sort of strategies. First of all, it's a law and it's a crime, and we tend to have regulations that implement this crime.
Okay, Mr. Chinedu, I'll ask you this. We've heard about tapping, which is people going illegally to connect cables from the overhead and also into the house. Now, could this be reduced if electricity infrastructure somehow are buried under?
My response is neither here nor there, because it deals with people's attitude.
Okay,
and then the community need to be aware that electricity tampering or tapping of electricity is an offense. And they should be able to report it. So for somebody who deliberately want to steal, no matter where you hide, you will go after it.
Definitely.
So it's just for the society to be aware of the consequences, not only to the distribution company, but even to the community. Because your tariff will be higher, then you have a very poor supply because there will be interruptions. You understand? And also the other one that borders on even system planning. So it's not about where you have the wire. It's about the people.
The attitude.
This advocacy is just for people to know that there's consequences for doing it.
When you put it that way, so talking about it's not about where you put the facility. Since the birds now fly without perching, the hunters now shoot without aiming. They just shoot anyhow into the sky as it is. Thank you so much for that one. You're listening to Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria. a program being sponsored by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we will look at the intrigues often displayed by some Nigerians. How stringent are the measures put in place to prevent continuous theft of electricity? This and more we have when we return.
Electricity thief na when person tap light wey no be own, connect illegal wire, tamper with meter or bypass light sef. See electricity thief fit make transformer blow. E dey spoil equipment wey dey use electricity. E dey make electricity regulators dem dey increase tariff so dem fit solve the wahala when dis electricity thief dey cause. E dey also cause accident wey fit kpai person, and if dem catch you, na jail be that o, and na 3 years at least na you go cool off for there, or you go pay fine, or make e be say you pay fine and still go jail sef. No thief light o, no kpai yourself, make you no make other people sef suffer. You fit stop this one right now. Report electricity thief to your disco. This message na from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. NERC, make light for the day.
We are back with Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria.
Welcome back. It's still Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria. We're discussing electricity theft and security in the Nigerian electricity supply, and we are having an overview of electricity theft in Nigeria. And we've been speaking with a Senior Manager, Consumer Enlightenment Unit, Consumer Affairs Division of NERC, Chinedu Ayinko. And also, I've got an analyst in the house, the Legal Licensing and Compliance Division of the Commission, Taralayefa Prayer. Once again, thank you for joining us on the program. All right, still on this theft issue, now that the government is doing everything possible to draw in investors into the country, how do you think electricity theft can impact investors or investors' confidence?
Persistent electricity theft actually creates an unfavorable investment climate. Nobody wants to invest in a sector where there is no revenue protection. And so when there is weak revenue assurance, there is unwillingness for investors to participate in the sector. And so there is also uncertainty over, return on investment when they are not assured of ROI. I mean, no investor will want to participate in a sector that they will not be able to at least recoup the cost that they have made. And also, it really affects financials as well to support the sector development.
The issue of electricity theft is very high that it also even add a burden to the customers, because when you discourage investors, the few that are ready to invest will put their price at a very high margin. Thereby, customer will end up paying higher.
Yeah, more like limiting options.
Exactly. So these are the consequences of engaging in electricity theft, because the investors are not sure that you will be able to recoup the fund invested in the business, or it will take even a longer time to recoup such fund.
Oh, the ripple effect of electricity theft is actually real and something that's very disturbing and alarming.
And if they are not investing in the infrastructure, I mean, obviously the result is there will be old infrastructure that is being used, and that means there will be poor quality of supply. So we need to just stop stealing electricity so that the required investment can be made in the sector.
Let's take it out of the city areas. Let's go to the outskirts, the villages. What's the compliance level there when it comes to electricity thefts?
So in terms of rural areas, first of all, the mindset is that electricity is a social commodity. So first of all, people feel that electricity should be free. So obviously it is even worse in those areas because they feel it's something that the government should provide for them for free. They still do not understand that it has been privatized. There are private investors, investing in this sector, and they need to, make their money as they are investing, because nobody wants to do a business and be losing out.
Okay, at this point, I think it will be safe to let you know that Radio Nigeria has got ears and eyes in definitely every nook and cranny of the country. So if you want to do those campaigns, we are very free and reliable to help you do that. Just so to let the rural people know that electricity is a business and not a palliative, as some people will think. Moving on. Given the intrigues often displayed by some Nigerians, how stringent are the measures put in place to prevent continuous theft of electricity in the country, Taro?
So we have the customer protection regulation, and when it is established that there is some sort of consumption that is illegal, you can be disconnected without notice. And for you to be reconnected back, you have to regularize the supply first. And there are reconnection costs and administrative charges that must be paid before you get, reconnected back. And in addition to that, for the period of unauthorized access, you have to pay for the established period. So those are sort of measures that are put in place to ensure that people are not stealing electricity.
Okay, nice. So apart from this, are there other measures to really, because we're talking about it's about attitudinal change, we say. Chinedu, are there more of these measures? Because it looks like the harder you go to prevent, the more they try to go to steal these things.
Just to add, because I mentioned the order on unauthorized access,
Okay.
right? We ensure that distribution companies liaise with law enforcement agencies to ensure that they carry out enforcement action against individuals or entities that are engaged in such unauthorized acts. Yeah.
Okay.
So just flowing from what she just explanation she gave, so you see the act being the source our strength, provided for, the sequence of the punishment, the first offenders, the second offenders, and third offenders, which they even made provision that you can pay fine and also be jailed. That's how serious it is. The same applicable to our unauthorized access, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission unauthorized access regulation. It provides for steps that we have to follow because it's a criminal offense. You can't just look at somebody and say you have committed a criminal offense. You have to be established, and the procedure are very clear. It will be properly documented, and you will see it both from the angle of the distribution company that indeed your consumption have reduced from what you used to consume, which show that there's something that have happened, and then even the meter instrument that is installed in their place that, okay, you broke this seal or you did X, Y, Z, and you see it clearly. And when those things are done, you're expected, the distribution company to charge you. But of course, what we see, and that's why I use the issue of advocacy, because it's a attitudinal thing. You see instances, some parents or some community leaders will say, please just forgive him. Just forgive him. If you send him to prison, what will you benefit from it? And so that's why the commission is out to say, please, it's an offense. You don't just treat offense as if, because when you commit an offense and there's no consequence, it's not an offense. So when you commit offense, you should be able to, be punished for the offense you commit. Because the whole essence of regulation is to ensure rules and order, to ensure transparency, so that the distribution company, in this instance, will not just wake up one day and start doing whatever thing they like, nor customer just come and do whatever thing because it's a regulated business.
Okay, now it's theft we're talking about. Let's digress a bit to other sectors. Let's say in security. There are seasons where you hear the Inspector General of Police say, we've deployed so number of officers because of this period, so as to mount
provide
security and all.
Yeah.
Are there seasons you have detected within the year where issues of electricity theft or the cases are high? Are there seasons that you see that these things go up or down?
Well, in the electricity sector, it's essential commodity, so the usage are daily. All right, whether you're in the village or in the township, so you use electricity. But of very important is during festive season, you see people trying to, put their places in a very good ambience, including whether they are using air conditioner or fan or whatever. even if they have issue with their service provider before, they will try to see how they remedy it and get supply for the purpose of that season. And so instances are there that sometimes you see, those who have a pending issue or prolonged or a very contradicted issue with the service provider, they are not able to resolve it. They will try to
resolve it
using
within the
using the back door. And then you have instances of theft or bypass or tapping more during festive period.
Okay, you've mentioned the festive period now. So during the rainy or the Hamilton seasons and the hot seasons.
So whether it's rainy season, whether it's festive period, whatever season, the point is it is illegal, it is a crime, and it is not something it's an irresponsible behavior. So whatever the season, you should not be engaging in the act. It is a crime and it's something that you can be fined for or you can be imprisoned for.
You can be fined and you can be imprisoned for it. That's what the NERC is saying, and I definitely hope Nigerians are listening. Okay, moving on for this. Is there any form of collaboration among agencies in the power sector to address this challenge of electricity theft? Mr. Chinedu.
Okay, for the Commission, we engage other government agencies like NOA to sensitize and bring to light the impact of electricity theft in the industry. Of course, we are also collaborating with Radio Nigeria, for instance, to sensitize people, and that's why we are here. The Commission is not mindful of the Gen Zs, the younger people who are there. So we are on all the social media that are not. So we go even outside government agencies. We make sure that we collaborate with people who are, charged with the dissemination of information, which is the NOA, to sensitize people, to arrange, to bring it to bear to customers, the impact of electricity theft on the sector.
Okay, good. You've talked about advocacy and a few of the negative impacts of electricity theft on the society and the neighborhood and all. Let's go to, you just made mention of social media handles where you do your campaigns and all. If you have some of them, can we reel them out just so that Nigerians can become advocates when they notice theft happening? Because as we say, security, insecurity, these people that perpetrate them, they live amongst us.
Yeah.
So if someone is taking light from an overhead pole, definitely, that's an overhead pole. When someone is there with a torchlight at night, one or two persons definitely will see. How can they help report? Talking about advocacy now.
Okay, the Commission is live on all the social media handle, on X, on
Instagram,
Facebook,
LinkedIn.
and LinkedIn.
We also have a website.
Okay, you have the handles.
Is at NERC, at NERC.
Okay.
Yes.
Just at that, they can also post complaints and they can report.
They post
whatever.
complaint, post a video, and people are there to harvest and make sure they document all those things. And
also to add, if you suspect or if you notices any form of illegal act in terms of electricity theft, you can report to the nearest disco. You can go to their website and go to the customer complaint unit and make your complaint, and then they can follow it up from there.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, read out the social media handles and let's just repeat that again. At NEC, you said?
Yes.
Well,
for Instagram, you can follow us NERCNG. For LinkedIn, just type Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. Facebook, type Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. You will see our handle, we are verified. And also our website, you just type Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. It will come up. The first Google search will come up.
Okay. Thank you so much for this. So any parting words for Nigerians? Mr. Chinedu, I'll begin with you.
Okay, mine is to appeal to Nigerians that electricity theft is a very big threat to the sector. And we need electricity to survive as a country because it's a beam or a development of the country.
Definitely. Development thrives actually on electricity. I think I can agree to that one. Okay.
My last word is it is extremely dangerous act. So if you're stealing electricity, just know that you're putting not only yourself in danger, but also others, because you are not trained to carry out the act you're carrying out. You're not a professional, so you don't even know hazard mitigation, and you're exposing others to electrocution and all of that. So please do not engage in electricity theft. It is extremely dangerous.
Okay, it's for your own good. Nigerians, do not engage in electricity theft as it is highly dangerous. And this is where we end today's edition of Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria. We've been speaking with the Senior Manager, Consumer Enlightenment Unit, Consumer Affairs Division of NERC, Chinedu Ayingo, and an analyst in the Legal Licensing and Compliance Division of the Commission, Tarilayefa Preo. Thank you once again for insightful contributions and for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Appreciation to the production team, studio manager Phineas Udoyo, facilitator Conrad Labi, producer Sunday Gotcha. Special thanks to our executive producers Hussein Akila and Nsoshi Maki. I'm David Umar. See you next Monday for another edition of Electricity Town Hall. Goodbye.